Last week, we ended our show with some shocking news. Indian-born author Salman Rushdie was stabbed in New York. He was immediately airlifted to the hospital. Reports say he sustained life-changing injuries. And since then, a lot has happened. A lot of reactions, a lot of criticism, and a lot of public outrage. We'll begin with the attack. Salman Rushdie was in New York for a lecture. He was about to begin speaking when the attacker rushed on stage. He stabbed Rushdie 10 times, including in the neck and abdomen. The attacker was wrestled to the ground by members in the audience. He was later arrested by state troopers. Rushdie, meanwhile, was airlifted to a local hospital. He was in the operation theatre for hours. The initial report was not looking good. The nerves in his arm were severed. His liver had been stabbed. And he was likely to lose one eye. Now, we don't know if this initial assessment has changed after the surgery. One of his sons posted this update. It says that Salman Rushdie has been taken off the ventilator. He also managed to speak a few words. But the road to recovery is not going to be easy. Reports say Rushdie's injuries are severe and life-changing. So chances are it will be a long rehabilitation. Now, coming to the attacker. He's been identified as 24-year-old Hadi Matar. He was born in California to Lebanese parents. What about his ideology? He was sympathetic towards two causes, Shia extremism and Iran's Revolutionary Guards. His cell phone had pictures of Qasem Soleimani. The name might ring a bell. He's the Iranian general who was killed by the US in 2020, Qasem Soleimani. What about partners? So far, it seems like Hadi Matar was working alone. He clearly supported Iran, but the question is, what was that support mutual? Did Iran's government also support this attacker? The spokesperson in Tehran has rejected such speculation.
Regarding the attack against Salman Rushdie in America, we don't consider anyone deserving reproach, blame, or even condemnation, except for Rushdie himself and his supporters. Regarding the person who did this attack, we have no information except what we heard from American media, and we are following this.
Iran's role will be studied in the days ahead. The state media was celebrating the attack on Salman Rushdie. This was their headline: Satan has been blinded. Iran's hatred towards Rushdie dates back to 1988. That's when Rushdie had published his fourth novel, Satanic Verses. Some passages from the book were considered blasphemous by Muslims. It was banned in multiple Muslim nations, but Iran went a step ahead. Then Supreme Leader of Iran, Ruhollah Khomeini, issued a fatwa against Salman Rushdie. It was not a condemnation, it was a death sentence. The fatwa called for his assassination. So Rushdie went into hiding. Things improved slightly in 1998. Iran's government distanced itself from the fatwa. A new Ayatollah had taken office, but the hatred never really disappeared. In 2019, Iran's Supreme Leader, now Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, reiterated his support for the fatwa. He said it was solid and irrevocable. 3 years later, he seems to have been vindicated. Rushdie's story is a case study for all democracies. How far does freedom of expression extend? Does it give you the right to offend other religions? And at what point does it become political? Even India grappled with these questions. In 1988, the government of India banned Satanic Verses. Back then, Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister. The ban itself was an interesting decision. It was not implemented by the Home Ministry. It was implemented by the Finance Ministry. Basically, instead of making the book illegal, India just stopped importing it, sort of like a half-hearted ban. In fact, the government order reflects the reluctance and confusion. It says the ban does not detract from the literary and artistic merit of Rushdie's work. In other words, it's a good book, but we are banning it. The question is why. The consensus today is politics. Many commentators accuse the government of appeasing Muslim voters. Rushdie himself made that charge. Listen to this. I deeply resent my book being used as a political football. You come out of this looking not only Philistine and anti-democratic, but opportunistic. The you here is Rajiv Gandhi. Rushdie wrote an open letter to him in 1988. He was deeply hurt by India's decision to ban the Satanic Verses. That was more than 3 decades back. Rushdie's attacker, Hadi Matar, was not even born then. It tells you how strong hatred can be. It can linger over time and generations. But when states buy into that hatred, it creates an ever more dangerous cocktail. In Salman Rushdie's case, that's what Iran did. Their 1988 fatwa was like a bullet. Once fired, there was no stopping it. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.